Welcome to my shop today. Glad you could make it here with me. Today's video, I'm not going to be doing too much new stuff, mostly stuff that a lot of you've seen already. But I've had a request to do a video on just how easy it is to do open segments on the lathe. And using the new tools available from Chief Wear Kits, namely this gluing jig and these index wheels, it has not only become realistic to do them on the lathe, but it's very quick and easy. And I'm going to show you just how quick and easy it really is during this video. The other thing is, when I do a closed segment ring and I want multiple thin trim rings somewhere, I have to put them on one ring at a time, or I can't get them to line up to my satisfaction. I know other people say, well, I get them to line up all the time, but to my satisfaction, I can't do it. Not if I sandwich them together and glue them in. But on an open segment, you can sandwich them, put them in, and even though they're not perfectly aligned, you'll never know it because of the gap between them. So I'm going to be doing that today. And I'm going to be making this little turning, nothing much. It's purple heart, yellow heart, purple heart. It's got some tamarind, some hormigo, some bacote, and then again purple heart on the top. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So let's get started with it. Alright, I'm going to be making this turning out of different woods. For the base, I'm going to use a piece of purple heart here. It's about 6 inches wide. I'll cut off the 6-inch square for that. The trim rings, I'm going to use yellow heart and purple heart. Then for the open segments, I'm going to use 3 different woods. I'm going to use this. It's called, I guess it's pronounced hormigo, I don't know. But it's got an interesting color and texture to it. I'm going to try it. I've never used it before, but I got a piece here. I'm going to be using some tamarind. Beautiful wood. I love tamarind. Just can't afford much of it. And then I've got a piece of really nice bacote. It's unusual even for bacote. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is really some nice bacote. So I'm going to be using those woods in it. I'm going to be making, like I said, 3 thin trim rings on the bottom and the middle and the top. And I'm going to be doing them different than I would normally do on a closed segment turning. And I'll explain that as I go along. As for the segments, I'm going to use twice as many of the tamarind as I do the other two. I'm going to use a tamarind and a hormigo, tamarind and a bacote, tamarind, hormigo. I'm going to be using 16 segments per ring. That's a nice common number. It ain't too complex. And I'm going to have a shape, one of my favorite shapes, kind of like this. The bottom, and of course a solid top. Again, I think I'll probably put purple heart on the top. And so, now, on a closed segment turning, if you put on thin rings, you put them on one at a time, because if you try and laminate them together and put them on, it's almost impossible to get them to line up absolutely correctly and the eye can see it. Now, I know some people do it, and I don't do it because, like I said, I can't get them just lined up just right and the eye can actually see it. But on an open segment, you got a gap between them. So if they don't line perfectly, nobody will ever know. They appear to line perfectly even though they may not. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut these, thin them down, and laminate them up to make the trim rings. Right now, let me talk about the other half of this video, and that's open segments on the lathe. Now, you may think this is hard to do or slow, but in actuality, it's very easy and very fast. Now, how it all came about, years ago I decided I wanted to do some open segments, and there was really no good way to do them. So I thought, well, if I could index them somehow, and I could find a way to position them, hold them in place, I could do it on a lathe. So what I did, I built a table that rides on the ways from the bottom with a gluing platform here that comes right up to the center of the spindle. And that will hold them in place. Of course, I put a stop block to hold them how far out I want to go from the center. And I looked for index wheels. The only ones I could find were either 24 indexes or 144. Well, with the 24, you could make 12 segments per ring. 144, I didn't really see too much value in that. So I decided I'd have to make some homemade index wheels, which I did. I made a bunch of homemade index wheels. And they worked, and I made a lot of good turnings with them that way. And I thought, well, you know, if I glue them on the lathe, they're going to try and fall off, so I'll have to hold them for a long time to keep them on, clamp them up for a long time. Well, as it turns out, if I don't have a good glue joint, they're not going to stay. But if I have a good glue joint, using tight bound 2, I only have to hold them for 10 seconds. And now with the new glue they got, that thick and quick, I can put them on in 5 seconds. So as fast as I can put glue on them and change the index, I can put them on just one right after another. Very quick. Very quick. And so I kept my eye out for a better index wheel, for a commercially made one. Sooner or later, somebody got to make one that got some decent indexes on it. And sure enough, eventually somebody did. He made it for basket weave people. But it turned out to be a great index wheel for open segments. It's a nice made steel wheel with many rows of indexes on it. I got one. With that one index wheel, I can do segments of 12 per ring, 16, 18, 20, 24, 30, 32, 36, 48, 67, 2, or 96. Of course, I am limited to those, but again, I'm limited to making ones that fit on the lathe too. And I think now he's going to give a few more options. Make another index ring will give us a few more options. I'm sure he will. And so I got to talking to the man that manufactured it, and he said, well, in order for people to use it for open segmenting on a lathe, they need a platform to glue them on. Well, my platform, of course, only fits my lathe, and each and every lathe is different. The width between the ways is different, and the height, and everyone's different. So we decided to see if we could come up with one that would fit any lathe. And a friend of mine, Mr. Bill Thering, and I sat down, put our heads together, and we come up with one that uses a drill chuck to hold it in the tailstock, and it sits on a post, and it can be used in any lathe, and it actually works very well. So the manufacturer wanted to know about it, so I sent him one. I mailed him off one that we made. With no strings attached. I told him go ahead and use it if he wants. The only thing I want from it's for everybody to have the ability to use it if they want. And so he made one. He was kind enough to send me an example of what he come up with. And it's well-made, quality product here. I think so. And it works perfect. It works absolutely perfect. So now, using this and using the index wheel, I can put on an open segment, change the hole on the index wheel, and glue up another, and just bang, 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 one right after another. So it's very quick. And I'll show you that later as we get on into this video. Okay, I got material prepped now. I got these all cut to size, and I've got 2 flat sides on them that are gluable. Now, of course, you have to have 1 flat side that's gluable. You don't really need 2, but they do need to be the same thickness so that when you go to sand them after the ring is on, they don't take up much sanding. But, like I said, both of these have got good flat sides on. I mean, all of these have got good flat sides on them. I've got sandwich material made now for the trim rings. And I got a piece cut for the base. Now, like all segmented turnings, if they're small, you can put a solid base on them. When the base starts getting bigger, you need a floating base, simply because of wood movement. But this one, I'm going to have a solid base. This one right here, 6-inch square. When I get down with it, it'll probably be around 5.5 inches or so. So it'll work out all right. This is Purple Heart. Putting it in the coal jaws. I'm going to turn a mortise in it for my chuck. And then I'm going to turn a ring around the edge, guide the bound, so I cut it round. And I might as well get started doing that. Well, like always, I got my base prepared for the chuck. I got a mortise in it. I like to use a mortise. For me, it's easier to finish the bottom when I'm done. But a tinian would be okay too, but I like a mortise, so I got a mortise in it to fit my chuck. I'm going to check it up. I'm going to dish the inside out some. I'm going to turn a flat area around the edge, maybe about 1 inch. Inch is plenty, too much actually. I'm going to turn it flat. Now I'm going to sand it flat. Of course, I'm going to turn it round too, make it perfectly round, even though it's bound so almost round. So I'm going to put the chuck on, and I'm going to prepare the base for the segments. I'm ready to put on the first set of rings now. Doggone it, that's the wrong drawing. Here's the drawing I want. So on this, first set of rings naturally are going to be these sandwich trim rings. Yeah, the base actually measures 5 3/4 right now. I'm going to make the trim rings 6-inch diameter. But I'm also going to make the top trim rings the same diameter. So I might as well just cut, instead of cutting 16, I'm going to cut 32 at one time. So I need 32 segments. I actually only need 16, but I'm cutting 32. It's 6 inches. There's 16 segments per ring, open segment. So they're going to be cut 0.8354. And they're going to be cut at 7.875 degrees. Now, there's another big plus for open segments over closed segments. Closed segments, if your cut angles off a little bit, you'll know it when you go to glue them together. Give you problems. But on open segments, if your angle's off a little bit, nobody will ever know it, not even you. If they're just off a little bit, you'll never know it. So, I'm going to go ahead, set the table saw up, and cut 32 segments of these sandwich pieces. Okay, I got the gluing platform set up. It's ultra easy. You set the post where it's eyeball level, lock the collar down, position it right up close to the center guide, put it in a drill chuck, lock the drill chuck down. Of course, lock the quill and lock the tailstock. You get it close enough to hold the segments that you're gluing on. Set the stop block to 1/2 the diameter from the center. Of course, you set the index to the index you're going to use on the index wheel. Normally, the index wheel would be mounted right behind your chuck, but if my lathe, I can mount it in the back, which I keep it mounted in the back. Now, gluing the segments on, you need to have a good glue joint. That means this must be flat and this surface must be flat to glue them on. Now, unlike other systems where they're mounted vertically, gravity holds them on. Well, gravity's going to try and pull them off here, and you think, well, I'm going to have to hold them on until the glue sets. In a way, that's true, but using tight bond too, and later I'm going to use a different glue that's even faster. You can put on a light layer. Most people don't realize just how light a layer you really need if you have a good glue joint. It's a very, very, very light layer of glue, and it'll hold forever. Now, what appears to be a disadvantage because of gravity is actually an advantage. It assures that you get a good glue joint, because if it's not a good joint, they will fall off. But with a good glue joint, I'm going to put it on here and hold it for 10 seconds. That's it. It's not coming off if it's a good glue joint. You just sit there. Gravity's not going to pull it off. And I can go around just about as fast as I can put glue on. I can glue them up. The last segment on this ring. Now normally after I glue it on, I unlock it and rotate it up. But the last segment you can't do that because the first segment is right underneath the gluing platform. So what I'm going to do, again, an extremely light layer of glue. That way there's no squeeze out too. You don't have to worry about cleaning squeeze out up, that's for sure. I've never cleaned it up, nobody's ever seen it. Hold this on for 10 seconds. Unlock the quill and just back this out till it's out of the way. It's way past 10 seconds now. Turn it up. I put them all on in 10 seconds and not one of them fell off. If one does fall off, it's not a good glue joint. It's not flat. 15 minutes you won't be able to pull any of them off. They're all on, they're all good tight glue joints. Fact is, I'd say they're perfect joints on this one. These are on, they've been on a little bit more than 15 minutes. There's no way they're going to come off. They are tight, they're perfect joints. There's not enough squeeze out so I can even see it. I could see it when I first put them on, but dry as I can't see it. Now these were all the same thickness and they were perfectly flat on both sides. But your top should be flat now. If you put a ruler across it, it is flat. No matter where you put it, it looks flat. But it's not flat enough, believe it or not, to get good glue joints. So I've chalked it, and I'm going to sand it to get all the chalk off. Take the sanding board. I'm going to give it a quick sanding. Just that much. You can see flat areas where it's clean. You can see areas where there's still chalk. So even though it's flat, it is not perfectly flat, which you do need to get good glue joints. There's still a couple. They're not flat enough yet. That should do it. Now I'm ready to cut segments for the main rings. Now, the main rings are going to be in 2 rows. And again, I'm going to make them the same diameter, each one. So I'm going to end up cutting 32 segments. Cut both rows at the same time. Now, what I want to do is put in this tamarind. I'm going to put the tamarind, then I'll put a Bacote, and I'll put tamarind again, then I'll put this Hormigo. So it means each ring I'm going to have 8 tamarind, 4 Bacote, and 4 Hormigo. So I'm going to go ahead and cut segments for 2 rings. I got 2 rows of them cut. I got the first row set up in the order I want to glue them on in. Tamarind, Bacote, tamarind, and Hormigo. Tamarind, Bacote, tamarind, Hormigo, so on. Only this time, I'm going to use this tight bound, thick, quick and thick. Tight bound, quick and thick. It's basically got the same properties as this. However, it's faster and it dries clear. And it again, it's thicker, but it again requires very, very thin coat. That's all it takes. And I'm going to put them on in 5 seconds instead of 10. And again, if it's a good glue joint, these are all sanded flat, at least on one side. In actuality, mine are sanded flat on both sides. So, if it's a good glue joint, they'll stay in 5 seconds. So let's go and find out. I've got it set on the second set of the indexes, the blue ones. Got it set up on one of them. Don't make no difference where I start in this case. I got the first 4 up here set up, sequence I want them on. I got the platform put back, locked down, got this up right up at the center. I got the stop block set at 3 1/4 inches for a 6 1/2 inch circle. Now I'm going to put a very thin coat of this. This is thick stuff. It's quite thick. Put a very small amount on it. And then thin it out. And it ain't yellow like the yellow glue. It actually dries clear, which is really a plus, I think. Now I'm going to stick it on there. Now press it for 5 seconds. It's on there. It ain't coming off. As long as it's a good joint, it stays. And 15 minutes later, I can't get it off. So I'm going to go ahead and put all the rest on the same way. Fast as I can put glue on them and change the index, I can glue them on. Okay, I got these on extremely fast. Just as fast as you can with a vertical system. And they're all perfect joints. Every one of them. Because I used a very, very thin layer, I can barely see the squeeze out on them now. Barely see it. There's a little squeeze out. Just enough. But when it dries, can't see it at all. So, 15 minutes I'm going to chalk them, sand them, then I'll be ready to cut and put the next trim ring in. Very, very fast. I got the first 2 rings on now. I'm ready to put the middle ring, trim ring in. It's the last one I'll need to cut. Like I said, I cut the others at the same time I cut the bottom ones. And I'm going to make it 6 3/4, which means I'm going to have a cut length of .9398. Now I'm going to go ahead and set that up and cut 16 more and get ready to glue the 3rd ring on. The 2nd ring just like before, it's got to be sanded down and be perfectly flat. If you want good glue joints, it's got to be sanded. I got it chalked and ready to sand. Even though these were all run through the drum sander at the same time, there's still a little bit of variance in them. And the drum sander was set to take light cuts too. So yeah, I got to sand it a little bit more to get them out. I'm again using the red indexes like I did for the first row. I got it all sanded flat, ready to put these on. They're cut. I'm going to be using the quick and thick. I'm going to be using it from now on, I think, for just the open segments. For anything else, I'll probably use tight bound too, and save this because it comes in such a small bottle. So I'll again be popping them on just about as fast as I can put glue on them, 5 seconds each. I'm only going to do one here. Very light coat of glue. They're not coming off, not even with that light a coat of glue. Ready for the next one as soon as I get the index set. Just that quick. I'm going to work on around. The third ring's been sanded. What I'm going to do now is start turning the inside, and I'll turn into the second ring pretty good. I probably won't touch the top ring, but I'll turn the first two. Now I've got to put on the last two open segment rings. That won't take long. Then I'll need to make a solid ring for the top. I'll do a little bit more turning for it, put the solid ring for the top on. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these two rings on. That won't take long at all. I cut 16 segments from Purple Heart, glued up a ring. Just a normal closed segment ring, 6 inches. I'm going to put it in the cold jaws, turn one side flat, and then sand it perfectly flat. And then I'll be gluing it onto the top. I've got the closed ring turned and sanded flat, ready to go on. Now I'm not going to spread glue all over the ring like I normally would with a closed segment glue up. I'm going to put glue on each one of these segments. Then I'm going to bring the ring up so that the joints on the segments of the ring land right in the middle of an open segment. The first thing I got to do is put a little glue on each one of these open segments. I don't want too much. Wow. I need. Now I'm just going to bring the ring up. Make sure the joints are in the right place. And clamp her down. Okay, the joints are right where I want them, in the middle of the open segment. Clamp it down. And we'll let her dry for a bit. Then I'll be able to ready to turn the top. Actually, the top ring is thicker than what I really wanted. I just cut the stock I had. So I think what I'm going to do is part half of it off and just keep it. I'll never use it, but just in case, I'll have a ring. I said I made this out of stock I had on hand. It's thicker than what I want. So I'm going to turn this flat, sand it, then I'm going to part it off. Save a piece. I don't know what for, but I'm going to save a piece. I might use it later, might not. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Inside's turned, sanded, and finished. Now I just got to turn the outside, then I'll be able to reverse it and finish the bottom. The outside's been turned and finished. I got the top tape with painter's tape, holding it from the inside on the coal jaws. Brought the tailstock up. Now I'm just going to turn it a little bit here on the bottom. I got a mortise. All I got to do is just turn this out a little bit. I used a parting tool to cut a flat right here on the edge. So now I'm just going to cut this away right here, leave the edge proud, and finish up the bottom. Well, here you have the finished product. Sign, turn on the bottom and sign. Now, of course, like I said, this video is for two reasons. The first one is these trim rings. With the open segments, it's easy to put the sandwiches in. Like I said, with a closed segment ring, I can't put sandwich trim rings in and get them to line up right. Now I know some people are going to say, well, I do it all the time and they look fine. Maybe I'm a perfectionist, maybe it's just me, but I can't do it to my satisfaction. But open segments I can. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, you can see with the new tools available from Chief Wear Kits, just how easy it is to do open segments on the lathe. Now, it's not only easy, it's quick. And the key thing about open segments on the lathe is tight glue joints. Of course, any kind of segment turning you do, you want tight glue joints, and on open segments, you especially want tight glue joints. But when you do them on the lathe, it's essential that you get a good glue joint. So, I hope you enjoyed my video. Like I said to my people that subscribe and people that watch all my videos, there's not really much new in this one. I apologize for that, but again, I had some requests to do it, so I did it. Thank you, and please come back and watch my next video. I'm going to do just a little quick add-on clip here. Some people have been asking me a few questions. One of the questions they asked me, where exactly is my shop? Well, it's in the eastern part of North Carolina, just about south of Raleigh. It's a little town called Pikeville. It's halfway between Goldsboro and Wilson. So that's where I'm at. The other question they asked me, somebody spotted the picture on the wall and asked me who the girl was in the picture. I guess they couldn't see it, well, they're assuming it's a girl. Well, this is the picture that's hanging on the wall right here. And this is a picture of my wife just about the time we got married. So, we've been married now for 51 years this week. So that's two of the questions I wanted to answer. If anybody got any more questions, just ask and I'll see if I can answer them. Oh, and I'm going to leave my email if you got any questions or comments you want to email me. I'm going to leave my email somewhere here. I don't know.